Man, it always feels like I haven't done this for ages when I like pop back into a weekend live stream after a week away. But it's good to be back. Hello there, everyone. It is I, AJ, for the Mighty Glue Stick channel, otherwise known as the AJ Pickett channel, which is very confusing for some. But there it is. It originally started out as a crafting channel, where I used lots of glue sticks. Cthulhu! Yes, so I am back from Australia, where I was for the week. Top of the morning, Sinsu. Dalek Supreme. Good morning. So I was away at PAX Australia in Melbourne for the whole week, and I dragged my good buddy Ian over there with me, and I met up with Jada, one of the admins on the Discord channel, who is a local, a native Australian, not local to Melbourne, but he knows it a lot better than I do. Well, technically, I'd be an Anzac too. You heard the cheese? Yes. So it's time for some cheese. Hey, Roddy. Fiona, nice to see you. Mark, Dennis, Ryan, MacGyver. Hello, everyone. So it's time for some good old Cataplepus Death cheese from my special reserve freezer stock. Now, I froze this before, so I'm kind of curious how it affects the cheese. Whether it's a disaster, whether it turns it into some sort of magical unguent, or whether I'll barely even notice. So let's find out. The texture seems to be a little bit more powdery. Flavor's still good. Looks toxic, tastes divine. Well, it depends on your point of view. If you don't like blue cheese, it would taste toxic as well. Yeah, it definitely changes the texture, but the flavour is generally the same. It makes it stick to the knife a bit. Tastes all right. So I have many wonders to show you today. It's mouldy. Yeah, I know. Giant rats. Sex and drugs and Dungeons and Dragons. Well, there was certainly a lot of D&D. Yeah, the texture of the cheese is definitely different. So I'm going to have to rate it down a notch, 9 out of 10, as opposed to the usual 10 out of 10 for this one. Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist. Alright. So, we've been talking about the Far Realm a lot over the last week. And before that, while I was away, I was automatically uploading those videos. One was on the Smurfs, and that was well received, I think. But some people didn't like it. I think some people were like, that should be your Halloween video. No. Also, I have some shocking news. So as part of my purchases when I was over there, since I basically own everything D&D, I picked up Pathfinder 2 and also the Pathfinder Bestiary for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Everybody's calling it Pathfinder 2 as far as I know, not Pathfinder 2nd Ed. And I've never played the original Pathfinder, so this is my first experience of Pathfinder. We actually recorded, I had a game of Pathfinder Society at PAX itself. And that was an interesting adventure. It had a pre-generated character. I was playing the barbarian character, which was easy to pick up and play. I like playing barbarians. And it was good. It was a very simplistic adventure. The thing with that adventure is that the monster that we faced was basically like a swarm-like creature. Was really hard for our characters to beat, and I think the idea was that game was to give you an idea of what it's like to get seriously hurt and deal with the death and dying and serious injury rules in Pathfinder, which is an interesting way of introducing people to the game. It was fine for me, but I imagine somebody who has come from Critical Role and things like that would be quite freaked out by the fact that their character has got a good chance of dying in that first encounter. But that adventure could have gone down many ways. Pathfinder. Then we all came home, and then we had a Discord chat where hardback. I love it. It's a very well made book. Fifth edition. You could learn something about book construction from these guys. Mind you, the latest books seem to have been okay, so we don't have that same issue with the first books that came out for 5th edition. This is a very, very well made book. This is going to last for decades. It's cloth bound. It's proper bound. And the index system and everything in this book is fantastic. So not only does it list down the side of the page where you are, what section you're in, but the index at the back is also a glossary of terms and descriptions of things. So it gives you the page number and also describes what scrying is, what a session is, etc. Which I've never seen anything like that, and I would have to say that it's set the standard that I would look for in a glossary and index combined at the back of a book, because that is absolutely fantastic. And it's got a index at the front of the book as well. So it's really great. And it's split up into, looks more like a web page in a way. Very nice artwork all through the book. You either love this artwork or you don't. There's no middle ground. And people who don't like this artwork, what do you want, man? What do you want from artwork in a book? The halflings have got large hairy feet, so I'm satisfied. The trolls look fantastic. All the monsters and stuff are really, really great. I'm going to be reviewing a few of these monsters, particularly when I'm like comparing them in later videos and things. There's some really good monsters. The inevitables and stuff in here are really good compared to the 5th edition ones. And it's got a really interesting collection of critters. The dragons are quite unlike Dungeons and Dragons for 5th edition. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Craig. Hey, AJ, love your channel. Binged all your playlists recently. What's your take on Half-Fiend PCs? I got no problem with it. So essentially, a Half-Fiend is like the daddy of a Cambion sort of thing. They're a step above. It's like playing a Dragonborn as opposed to playing a half-dragon. They look similar, but they're really a different kettle of fish. A Half-Fiend is... they've got a direct involvement from their parent, whereas Cambions typically may not. So, and a lot of ways, Cambions and Half-Fiends are kind of the flip coin of the same thing. So, yeah, I like them. I think they're okay. I wouldn't introduce them as a player character option for a public game where you don't know who's going to be sitting down at the table. And I would probably screen your players with other characters before they pick up that sort of a character. Just to make sure, test the waters, dip your toe into their role-playing style and make sure that they're people who are going to be able to handle a character like that and not just be a psychopath. Because you'll run into that, that's what my character would do issue. But generally speaking, it's fine. It's fine. People can be dicks with any type of character class. So, yeah, most of the time it's perfectly fine. So that's Pathfinder for you. I also picked up the Call of Cthulhu starter set, which also is very good. It's got a adventure in here that you play by yourself to introduce yourself to the rules, which is a unique aspect of a starter set that I've never seen before. Actually, I think the Red Box D&D set might have had... Yeah, it did actually have an adventure that you could run by yourself, because I played that many times. So, good innovation for a modern starter set. And it's got a set of other booklets which are designed to be read and used in order. They step up the play with introducing another player to the group and then inviting other people to play. And so you've got a set of adventures, you've got handout materials, you've got dice, you've got character sheets, you've got everything you need to go, apart from pencils and notepaper. And it's good to go. Really nice, tidy little set. And the books that you can pick up for this edition are many, and they are expensive. They are very expensive. So if you picked up like the whole set of all of the Call of Cthulhu books, you'd be out of pocket quite a lot. So it's a heavy investment, and I would definitely recommend picking up the starter set before you invest in all of the main books, just to see if you're the sort of person who likes Call of Cthulhu or not, because it occupies a specific niche of role playing. And if you don't like it, then certainly don't invest in it. There'll be somebody else who already has, I'm sure. I wanted to pick up Warhammer 40k's Only War RPG, where you play Imperial Guards, but I just couldn't find it anywhere. I was a bit disappointed about that, because it was on my list of ones that I wanted to grab. When I got home, a Kickstarter reward had been delivered, which is Yarrow Studios immersive battle maps, and I'm going to show you what the whole idea of these is. So the book has got an unusual binding that opens flat with just a barely noticeable ridge in the front here. I mean, you can see for yourself. It's a gridded battle map, and it's got a variety of different maps. You can see with that glossy sheen there, it's actually a dry erase surface. And there's a whole heap. I mean, look how many maps there are. There are tons in here. So you got your tavern. This is a cliff face with a waterfall and a bridge. A beach with a shipwreck. Heaps of different stuff. So you can really design adventures around this and just take this to a game convention or something like that with you, and you are sorted. So really awesome. And I know that a sci-fi one I think is in production at the moment, and I would imagine this is going to there'll be ring binder versions of this, but except no substitute, this is really fantastic, and it is well worth it. And this is again a beautifully made book. It's massive, and it's cool, and it feels good, and I love it. So yeah, that's what's up. I better read some of the comments here. Yeah, it's novel. So I think you can buy the map book. Check out Yarrow Studios. That's YARRO. And check out whether there are any that are up for sale yet. But he's just finished the Kickstarter. It's just been delivered, so I don't know what their stock is like. No. I'm not talking about Warhammer 40k, the war game. I'm talking about Warhammer 40k, the role-playing game. Okay, so it's an entire universe of stuff that you can run role-playing games in. So I've already got Deathwatch, and I played Rogue Trader, and I played Inquisition characters and stuff, and I love the universe of Warhammer 40k. I reference it quite often in the comments. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I wanted to pick up that one as well. Yep, I'm going to do some lore and monsters from Pathfinder 2. That is correct. It is an amazing book of maps. Yeah, it's really amazing. Hey, Darkstrider. Good morning. Blue cheese. So PAX. What's my experience with PAX? What's it like going to PAX Australia? Melbourne's a cool city. It's got a free tram network around the centre of the city, which you can make use of. You don't need to buy one of their Mikey cards unless you're going outside of that area. Accommodation's good. Shopping and stuff. So the unusual thing about Melbourne is that all of the cool shops are down alleyways and stuff off the main thoroughfares, off the main road fronting, because the main road fronts shop spaces charge a premium for that access to the roadsides. So a lot of the cool boutique shops and stuff, are down the alleyways, so they're hard to find. But once you get, so you end up like literally walking around Menzo Brands and sort of thing. It's like bright and fantasy Menzo Brands, and so you go down these alleyways and nooks and crannies, and you find restaurants and things like that there. They've got outlet malls for stock that they're getting rid of, or like imported stock that they just fob off, and that's where I picked up most of my stuff. Cease this heresy. Battletech. I haven't gotten into, like, long ago, a friend of mine ran Battletech into the ground. It was a really boring experience for me, so I haven't touched Battletech with a 10-foot barge pole since then. I haven't read the novels, but I know that there's a significant novel thing, and there's quite a lot of development of the Battletech setting. So it's interested me from afar, but it's one of those once bitten twice shy sort of things where I wouldn't touch the game because I didn't like the mechanics and stuff, and it was just run really badly, which is unfortunate. One day hopefully I get somebody who's really into the role-playing aspect of it, and they say, well, we've actually been playing in the Battletech setting, but you didn't know about it until right about now. So yeah. So PAX is a massive enterprise. It's like several conventions rolled into one, is what I would call it. So you've got the it's got a definite weeb presence. It's got a definite Japanese anime presence for people who love, Mario games and all that sort of stuff. There's that's the majority of the cosplayers, like Japanese games and Japanese anime and stuff like that. Particularly in Australia, which is understandable. And so there's that aspect of it, which I didn't really dip into very much. It's got a distinct section, which is the video game and electronic and console market. And that area is a big blazing rock concert of blaring noise, pressing bodies. It's very busy, very crowded. There's smoke machines. There's people yammering into microphones, and it's an assault on the senses. And really, it's cool to walk around and look at stuff because they've got some like Star Trek and Star Wars and things, memorabilia, and they've got comic book stuff in there as well. I actually wish the comic book stuff was in the role-playing section because it's nicer to walk around and actually browse and stuff. In the video game section, it's a constant press of bodies and stuff. I understand that that's where they think the largest group of people is, so that's where they want their stall. But it actually would benefit them to have it back in the role-playing section because there's definitely a divide there. The role-playing section consists of lots and lots of people selling dice, lots of innovative sort of terrain and stuff, that laser cut wood products for terrain systems, and for that lighting rig that I posted on my community tab. Oh yeah, I'm also going to be giving away some dice today. So once we get if we get 100 people watching, that's when I'll start giving away some dice. Anybody who's here is eligible to win. I won't be sending them to you directly. I'll be getting you to I'll be getting your names, and then I'll get you to pass on your contact details to somebody that I give you contact details with. That way I don't share any of your contact details. Tau 5? Original Car Wars, yeah, that was awesome. Steel will rust eventually. So the role-playing section consisted of a lot of board games, and they have a board game library where you can basically present your photo ID and then borrow a board game. Well, give them your photo ID and then you borrow a board game and give it back and get your photo ID back. But all the photo ID I had on me was my passport, and there's no way in hell I was going to give anybody my passport for a board game. So I didn't get to play any of those. But I did get to sit down and play Pathfinder Society, and I also played some... Was it Pathfinder Society, and what was the second game that I played? Was it both? No. Pathfinder and Was it both Pathfinder? No, 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 no. What was the other thing that I played? Something. I got to play 2 games anyway. The first one was D&D. First one was D&D, and the second one was Pathfinder. I enjoyed the D&D one more. The DM was very good, and it was basically like a rat hunt sort of thing around a city, and we basically solved a puzzle and rooted out some stuff that was going on in a city. It was a Baldur's Gate adventure. So it was really good to go wandering around it was Waterdeep, sorry. We were running around Waterdeep on one of the sort of side quest things. So we got to interact with Waterdeep, and there was one very memorable scene where 2 Dragonborn characters, mine and another, staged a fake mating ritual in the middle of a restaurant inside one of those giant statues in Waterdeep in order to cause a distraction while our thief went into another part of the place to investigate something. And we made quite a scene. There was furniture thrown, there was cutlery piled up into a treasure hoard in the middle, there were frills, there were bulging throat sacks. It was pretty steamy, but it was all fake. So that was fun. Other parts of PAX. The highlight for me was the live panels and, of course, the games. So the PAX main game with Penny Arcade was a Call of Cthulhu game run by Chris Straub. That'll probably be uploaded soon. That was really good, and he captured the essence of the horror of a role-playing game, but there was a spanner in the works. At first, it seemed like a spanner in the works, in that, unlike other games beforehand, they introduced a stenographer, basically, who was captioning everything that they were saying and writing it at the bottom of the big screen so that hearing impaired people can enjoy the proceedings as well. And it was also basically for uploading onto Twitch or YouTube later as well. And the interesting mistakes that he was making in the transcription ended up being hilariously funny, which distracted the people on the stage, who had to look up and read what the audience was laughing about, because it's very distracting if everybody starts laughing and you don't know what the joke was. Then they sort of adapted to that, hooked onto it, and by the time it came around to the C-Team game, which was their sort of annual Halloween return back to an inn and dealing with a lycanthrope and stuff adventure, and easily the most thirsty game of C-Team, that Acquisitions Incorporated C-Team, that I have ever seen. It was off the charts. It was like, at one point I think it was Amy Falcone just sort of went, are we really doing this? And they did. I won't give away anything. You should definitely watch that game. It was really funny, and they sort of hooked onto the captions and stuff and had a good laugh about it as well. So that was really good. The live panels got better as PAX went along. The first one was a bit stilted. It was like people who are brand new to the panel, and it was okay. And the personalities of the people sort of carried it through. There was a debate about whether there's too much 5th edition D&D, one that was really good. And there was a more serious, I think the most serious panel that was there was the one on diversity and classifications, and the labeling of video games and age categories for video games, particularly in Australia, because it's quite a political matter. I passed my performance checks. Yeah. I challenge you to create a monster based in the 20D mechanics and origins. 20D? What's 20D? Sorry, I missed that. I should pop out the chat. Why have I not popped out the chat already? I don't know. Let's just massive supersize the chat here. Yeah, Miss Eccentric, you haven't been on the chat for a while. Not much, and everything. The dice based on a 20-sided dice. A monster based on a 20-sided dice. I could spin that. I could do that. Yeah, it was a debate. So it was a debate where one side is arguing, that there's not enough D&D, and the other side is arguing that there's too much D&D. And obviously the crowd was very, very biased on the side of no, we need more. So yeah, that was a foregone conclusion. The Lifestyles D&D, the Dungeons and Dragons or the role-playing lifestyle panel was really funny because it was basically rating fashion styles for character classes, alcoholic beverages for alignments, which was really interesting, like what alignment is vodka, what alignment is whiskey, etc. And I agree with pretty much all of the conclusions they came to, and there was very responsive feedback with the crowd, but also very funny. Show me what you got. Oh yeah, those guys, the giant heads. No, I don't attend Renaissance fairs because we don't generally have many of them in New Zealand. Also, the plan is underway to go and attend Gen Con over in Indianapolis in 2020. So that's in July to the very start of August. And I will be over there attending. So I've got to book airfare, and I've got to sort out accommodation and transport. But I'm going to be in the States for a good couple of weeks, I think, because you don't just arrive in the States for a weekend. Not when you have to fly 19 hours to get there. 19 hours, 2 stops. So talk about dedicated. What's upcoming Kickstarters that you're interested in? Well, I've backed the Tilt 5 augmented reality glasses. They only weigh 85 grams. So that's really exciting. And I'm going to be upping my pledge on that to get some more sets of those goggles to give away to my friends here in New Zealand so we can test them out and play. You'll be in Ohio. You live in Indiana. Oh, I envy you, Michael. So that's an interesting Kickstarter. Also, Bones has got its latest Kickstarter. So I'm backing that, obviously, because who can ever have too many miniatures? Not me. Other than that, I'm still waiting for I think it's an Indiegogo for this like solar panel thing, a solar panel charger thing that's had enormous amounts of delays. Basically, my experience of Indiegogo is I will never back anything that uses Indiegogo from now on, from this day forward, because it's just too risky. It's just way too open to people scamming you. So I would recommend to everybody, do not think that Indiegogo is like Kickstarter. It is not. Kickstarter has got lots of risks as well, but Indiegogo is basically you're throwing money at somebody to possibly invent something and produce it, possibly not. So if you've got money to spend on Indiegogo, realize that you may lose that money. So don't spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Indiegogo ever. Kickstarter, yeah, you're pretty safe, particularly if they've had lots of successful Kickstarters before. Definitely do your research and check whether somebody has produced stuff on Kickstarter before, and whether it was successful and whether everybody was happy, and whether they delivered on time, what the communication was like with their community, etc., etc. But realize that any sort of Kickstarter, any sort of crowdfund is a gamble, even on Kickstarter. Yeah, I'd like to attend the fairs. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say no. That would be my, like, if there was a choice of things to go to on a weekend and one of them was a Renaissance fair, I would be at the Renaissance fair for sure. I'd have to get a costume together, but I'd still go. The Shire is a movie. It's an old movie set. It's a tourist attraction. It's very expensive compared to other things that you can do in New Zealand. I mean, imagine you've got 1,001 things to do outside of New Zealand. Do I want to spend $80 to go wandering down a set path and look at some doorways and a pub which is full of other people? No, I don't. I would do it just for the views. I'd do it so that you could come with me and I would like stream it or something. But yeah, no, there's plenty of other places in New Zealand that I'd like to go and hang out at, and I've never been to Hobbiton. Oh, the UFO thing, yeah. So bear in mind, I'm talking about a light, an unusual light that I saw in the sky. I don't contend automatically that it was a spaceship. I just saw something weird in the sky. It doesn't mean it was a flying saucer. Could you suggest a playable race that is widely recognized as evil in the D&D worlds and its members are evil? But it is only because of the culture, but not some congenital tendencies. Well, that's pretty tricky. I think maybe hobgoblins is a good example. It's possible to be a hobgoblin that is not evil. They're very much a societal evil, lawful evil society. But individual hobgoblins raised outside of their society, I see no reason why they would be evil. They would probably function very well in a human society. Yeah, it's more of a tourist. Like, tourists absolutely love going through Matter on the bus tour and going to Hobbiton and doing the whole day experience thing. They love it. I've never heard a complaint about it, but Kiwis generally, local New Zealanders, will go and they'll say, yeah, it's all right. But we're really spoiled because we are used to this countryside. We're used to the natural splendour and lush bounty of New Zealand. We're almost ruined for other countries in the world too. It has to, like, the greenery has to be really, really off the charts to impress a New Zealander. So it has to be like a lush tropical rainforest before we'll go, ooh, you know. Yeah, absolutely like the stream. So, are we up to 100 people in the stream yet? Let's check. 57. We may not actually get here. We may not get to the 100 people in the stream today. That's okay. I'll still give away dice anyway. Thanks, Reaper Radio. The ins and outs on me, my dude. When you get to the States, any plans on doing some undead vids for October? In and outs. Oh, that's an In and Out burger. Yeah, I'm going to be probably dining at restaurants and stuff. I've been to the States before. I know what the cuisine can do to me. I put on 5 kg last time I was in the States because your cuisine is quite different to the stuff that I get in New Zealand. So I'll be hanging out at health stores. Health food stores is where I will be basically buying my food, because I expect bread to be like freshly baked, and I like fresh produce and things like that. I'll probably eat the occasional Twinkie or something like that, but I won't be binging on junk food, and I certainly won't be binging on fried burgers and stuff like that. I'll be looking at stuff that grows in the States that you don't get anywhere else, and I'll be trying probably pumpkin spice or something like that if it's still around. Actually, it'll be pretty early in the year for pumpkin spice, but I'll find something. Any plans on doing undead vids for October? Yeah. I always do undead vids. They pop in into my repertoire every now and then. This coming week, I don't really have any plans for creatures yet. I've got to do the one on the Kruthic. There's a few videos which are on the back burner which I've got to get done. And I also want to update some old videos as well. And who knows, I might actually pop something out of Call of Cthulhu or Pathfinder, or perhaps something from the Creature Codex or Tome of Beasts. Who knows? You never can tell. Are you in a drought at the moment? No, not at all. Australia is suffering from a drought in quite a few areas. But New Zealand is not in drought conditions. It's in the middle of spring at the moment, so yeah. I'm actually wearing this this jumper here more for the American benefit, because otherwise I would be wearing a singlet because it's actually quite warm today. So out of commiseration for your wet and windy weather that you may be having over in the States right now, I'm bundled up. There are lots of Daniels, I've noticed. Yeah, most people who are used to things in an area don't care as much about what's going on. Like, you could live right next to a beautiful surf beach and never go down to the beach because you've lived there for 10 years, you know. One American delicacy I need to try is bison. Have it on burgers or chili. It's exactly like a leaner, more flavorful beef. Deer meat makes the best tamales. Yeah, I've actually eaten buffalo. When I was in in Australia, I ate some kangaroo, I ate some emu, and I ate some crocodile jerky. And the crocodile jerky was disgusting, and we actually threw that away. The emu was okay, but it had a really weird aftertaste. That may have been the jerky process. The kangaroo, on the other hand, was delicious. So I'm actually keen to eat some kangaroo next time I go back there. Eat it properly. Buffalo, yeah, maybe. If it can contend with your Wagyu, good luck. But I have eaten lean meat before. Yak is also pretty good meat as well. Grimworld Kickstarter, I don't think I have. And I've certainly eaten deer. Farmed deer I'm not that keen on, because it's basically just it loses its wild deer is really good. It's got a richness of flavour, whereas farmed deer is just like sort of flat and bland by comparison. 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Welcome back, Roddy. You true neutral, Daniel. What place in D&D looks like Australia? Athos, Dark Sun, maybe. The Anarok Desert is slowly returning back to a grassland, and I think that it probably now, in the era of the Forgotten Realms, looks more like Australia than most other places. Also, there's areas of a desert... areas of the Shah, the big Shah grasslands and stuff, may look a little bit like Australia, particularly around border regions or where it borders on desert regions. Australia is generally flat, dry, and red soiled. Yeah, not a lot of mountains, and it's got a kind of like reclaimed seafloor sort of feel to it. Like, yeah, best way to describe it, really. It's a whole lot of the same thing in Australia for the most part, in the middle bit. The coastal regions are more like a temperate rainforest sort of thing in some areas. Others, they're grasslands broken by big trees like eucalyptus and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, New Zealand doesn't have a lot of snow. That's something that surprises a lot of people, actually. Well, also, a lot of people think that New Zealand's quite tropical. It's not. It's not tropical at all. It's a lot... we tolerate the cold a lot more than Australians do. Tasmania is more similar to New Zealand in climate, but New Zealand's colder than Australia. So, you know, yeah. We're like the Canada of Australia. We're like the Canada of Australia. we really are. Yeah, I'll be trying some American cheese for sure. Okay. 6 inches of snow outside. Yeah. While thank you, Kick-Ass Duke. While in Indy for Gen Con, take a trip to Fry's Electronics, fantastic store that only has a handful of locations, each styled to the locale. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. Now, in American cities, I know that, like in LA, for instance, getting from place to place in LA was a bit of a nightmare for a tourist. Like, you have to have a car, and the public transport was not that great, and I didn't trust the stops that the Greyhound buses stopped at. Otherwise, I probably would have made more use of it. What I should have done, actually, is taken the train while I was in the States. But this time I've got money for Uber and things like that, so I'll probably be taking some Ubers around and invariably explaining to the Americans about my accent, because that is, as soon as I open my mouth over in the States, everybody's sort of like beads in on me like they've got radar dishes for ears, and they hear this accent and they're like, where are you from? Are you from New Zealand? Because I sound like somebody from the Flight of the Conchords. Yeah. And so I get named New Zealand. It doesn't matter what my original name was. Invariably. But that's okay. Canada jokes incoming. Yeah, that's right. Aussie. Aussie is an actual continent of Dungeons and Dragons. Goat doesn't taste like deer. Oh, farm goat tastes like... farm deer tastes like goat. Goat is like super cheese. Not super cheese. Super sheep. Super sheep flavour, maybe. A little bit. Yeah. I'll be using Uber and Lyft. For sure. Yeah, I'll try and get around by trains. I'll have to I'll basically research Indianapolis and find out how to get around and what to go and see. I might even create a tab on the Discord for places to go and things to see in Indianapolis if you're going to Gen Con. Maybe even a meetup location that we can all hang out at if we're all there. Try being Scottish. Well, some of my ancestors are from Scotland. I've got some McDonald in me, somewhat controversially. Tell people that I'm from Alabama. Yeah, I'm from Alabama. Y'all can tell me where I can go eat some buffalo? You're running an evil campaign in which the characters are going to be at odds with an empire led by a storm sorcerer king. Any ideas? No, that sounds great. Have them in league with a cadre of young blue dragons, or some long dragons from. Are they in the monster manual? No, I've got some videos on them. Deep fry cook class in D&D. Yeah. Now that's the thing. I like stouts, ales, and dark beers. I do not like hoppy homebrews. I just don't. So if it's got lots and lots of hops in it, I probably won't be drinking it. If you can see through it, I won't like it. Unless I'm thirsty, in which case I'll drink it like water and not even notice the taste. Unless it's too yeasty, in which case I'll spit it out. I'm fussy about my beer, and I know people who love the microbrews and stuff, and they're like, oh, it's got this and that and this and that. But it's a case of you've been sitting in the pot, and the pot has slowly been the temperature's been turned up to the point where you're now almost at like jacuzzi boiling temperature. And I'm the frog that just gets dropped into the middle of it, and I'll be like, blah! No, I don't like any of this beer. If it's a garden beer or it's fruity or anything like that, no. So yeah, no. I'll drink whiskey, bourbon, rum and coke. That's fine. I don't drink wine, and I'm fussy about my beer. IPA is vile. You're correct. India Pale Ale. It's a pale ale. It's had the life sucked out of it. It's undead. Thank you, Matthews. Campaign where souls are immortal, cannot be destroyed, stole by demons, lost, changed into undead unwillingly. Any suggestions how to run it? Yeah, so that's in Taoist mythology. You can be like or like Dragon Ball Z. You know how they become dead and they basically just get a halo and go to another dimension and they can travel to and fro. That's like that. So essentially you get propelled to another dimension as a petitioner or something like that, and you're constantly battling to retain your identity and your memories when you transition from one state of life to another. And the bureaucracy of it and the amount of time that you're away from the world that you knew. So it's an interesting concept that death is not the end for your player character in a campaign like that. You just transpose to another plane of existence. It's perfectly fine for a solo adventure, but it's really hard if you're playing that as a group, because splitting the party because some of them are dead is really, really difficult to manage. If you're playing a play-by-post game or something like that, where you've got a lot of time in between sessions, or you can run separate sessions for people over the weekends, that's perfectly fine. You can run a really, really complicated campaign, like a West Marches style campaign, where you have multiple DMs, multiple gaming groups, and multiple sessions happening all the time. And they sort of coordinate and share information with each other in a ever expanding and developing game world. In which case, the player characters really are the whole basis for the game world. So that's an interesting take on it. I do like the idea of, coming back from the dead has always been a part of D&D. Resurrection spells, things like that, reincarnation, that sort of thing. So you can change form quite a lot. And characters are supposed to be developing during the game as well. That's one of the things. That's one of the things I think that the Critical Role crowd and stuff like that. There's a lot of static character development in new players to the game where they don't want their character to change, and they're very resistant to it. Like, you've been transformed into a Dragonborn. It's like, no, I don't want to be a Dragonborn. And it's like, well, that's what happened to you. Thanks, Adrian. So yeah, I would go with that. So you have like the redeemed, like a Rakshasa is a diva that's fallen into disgrace and actually physically transformed into a demon. It's possible for demons to be reformed and turned back into celestials and stuff like that in that sort of game, in that sort of Taoist mythology game. Oriental Adventures, old D&D Oriental Adventures, is a good setting for that sort of thing. So you have demon hunters who actually reform demons, who actually capture them and force them to accept their crimes and ask for repentance from Celestia. It's really funny. Guinness is the Budweiser of dark beers. Well, it's more expensive than Budweiser, that's for sure. Guinness is better in Ireland. Yeah, the canned stuff tastes different from the stuff on tap, for sure. Ball and biscuit. Okay. If it's still there. Jack Daniels. I hope Jack Daniels tastes different back home, because it doesn't taste that great over here. It's okay. This is Jim Beam, Jack Daniels. Porters, yes. Give me a good chocolate stout. Thanks, Camuela Kid. Oh, get well soon. McCashin's Brewery? I've heard of McCashin's Brewery. Yeah, true. What happens with assassination if a king gets assassinated and then risen back from the dead? Yeah. It's quite funny actually. At PAX, the bartender was serving us some dark beers, and I said, "Have you got any out the back that are in boxes that haven't been refrigerated?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Dark beers should be served at room temperature, not cold. If you're drinking a stout or an ale, it should be served room temperature." That kind of blew his socks off, I think. Moonshine, yeah, moonshine's really hit and miss, and you know it. Don't try and tell me that isn't true. Hey, Tad. No, I haven't. I tried Arrogant Bastard Ale. Hobgoblins, quite nice. My absolute favourite beer is Baptiste Rochefort number 10, which is a Trappist ale. It's really good. It's made by monks in Brussels or somewhere. Yeah, canned beer is generally canned beer. Bottles, okay. Tap beers are best. How do you pronounce? Is it Guillemon? Lemonade. I've got a lemonade tree out the back. So you haven't drunk lemonade until you've had actual lemonades. Not lemons with sugar, lemonades. That's right. Too hipster for you. IPA triple hop the best. Absolutely, Tad Jones, you can enjoy it as much as you like. You can take that swill and drink it in another room with your hipster friends, wearing your lumberjack shirt and your horn-rimmed glasses and your man bun and your boutique beard. I actually watched a show on... there was a lady that was going around trying different homemade beers. Oh, the Trappist ales are amazing. That's right, it's holy beer. That is correct. It is actual dwarven holy water. That is what dwarven holy water is. It's it's canon, as of R.A. Salvador's novels. Humbled you. How would I use madness in your D&D games? Actual madness or corruption? So actual madness is very disruptive, especially if it's disassociative madness and things like that, because your character will not be interacting with the world in a predictable fashion. Hey, thanks, Matthews. It's cheesy, but what would be the most powerful / horrific combination of types and templates possible? Like a demon, abomination, undead, something. Let's see. Mummy... werewolf, lich, spellweaver. How's that? Ghosts are pretty bad. Jordan, the PH is silent, was lamenting on Twitter about ghosts being able to possess people, and there's no way to get the ghost out of that person unless you're using what? There's no magic to get them out of there, short of a limited wish or restoration or something like that. So they ended up killing the player character because the ghost was forcing the player character to do horrible things, and there's no way you can get the ghost out. So yeah, ghost, spellweaver, mind flayer, ghost aboleth, pretty bad. Ghost aboleth demon. $74 watching? 64 watching. I've got 64 on my dial. I'm glad I can help out, Bob. Life's a roller coaster, man. It's got ups and downs. Stick with us. It'll get better. And we need the downsides of life to make the upsides seem so much better. There's the ups, there's the downs, there's the creamy centres. Bladesinger Death Knight. Yeah, that would be OP. Alright, shall we give away some dice? Who wants some dice? So I've got 3 sets of metal dice. First 3 people to type, yes please, I would like some dice, AJ, we'll get some dice. I'm waiting. This is how technical we are. No quizzes or anything like that. Where's my notebook? Well, it's a matter of public record. Don't blame me if you don't get your thing yet. There we go. Yes, please, I would like some dice. Yes, please, I would like some dice. Yes, please. So we've got... I'm going to have to go back and review that. So Jim Evans, Seraph the Fallen, Michael Mitchell, I think were the first 3. Am I correct? Yep, Jim Evans. Seraph the Fallen. And Michael Mitchell. Awesome. Okay, guys, I need you to contact me. Just send me an email to adforemperor@gmail.com, and I will get you the contact details for D&D WoW, and they will send the dice to you free of charge. So congratulations. Yeah, it's a scramble. What can I say? Initiative rolls, everyone. You got dyslexia, so it's unfair. Well, yeah. Honourable mention. So there's more dice which are coming. The next dice giveaway that I'm going to be doing on my live stream will be for the big D20s. So we're talking these bad boys. They're currently in development for D&D WoW. This is one that I picked up from PAX. And just to give you some idea, that is your regular size D20, and that's the big size D20. So a metal D20, big size metal D20. You can seriously hurt somebody with one of these, and you definitely need to roll it on a dice tray. They're heavy. Yeah, well, no, I'd be okay with you winning Gerbil. You're a moderator, but you're still, a fan, essentially. It's not like I pay you. I probably should. When am I going to finish Netherall? I knew somebody was going to ask me that. Yeah, soon. It's been 6 months since I did the first Netherall video. It didn't have a very good response, unfortunately. I think the next Netherall video will be interesting because it talks about the development of magical spells that people use in the game today. So, who invented Magic Missile? you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do some more giveaways. If there's people out there who are manufacturers of stuff, let me know, and I'll do some giveaways on my live streams for sure. It'll be things like dice and books and things like that. Rolling trays. I think I'll get in contact with the guys who make you design your own miniatures and print them. And there's other dice companies as well who have approached me about sponsorship and stuff like that. I'm very reluctant to take on a lot of products and things like that because it's not really necessary for my channel. I'm not really that sort of channel. But my live streams are a different kettle of fish. I think it'll be okay for product reviews and giveaways on my live streams. I don't want to clutter up my videos with that sort of crap because my videos are a reference library. You don't put advertisements in an encyclopedia or a dictionary, so I don't feel comfortable putting product promos and stuff like that right in the middle of my videos. You know, because it's not gonna, like, the video will be viewed thousands of times over several years. And people will be going back to those videos and looking at them later on. So it's not like video of the week and then it just gets lost in the archives. People are constantly watching those. So if I put advertising on those videos, they get far more bang for their buck, really. And if it's a limited edition thing or it's a limited time thing or the company may disappear, then it really sucks because then I've got that like dead weight on that video that just it's not relevant anymore. Wrestling is... Yeah, in that famous Wizards one I did, that was Wizards that were played by the original creators and players of the game, so it was all Greyhawk stuff. And I got a lot of bitching and moaning from people who said that I didn't mention Elminster or Raceland or any of these other famous wizards. So I probably should have titled that video Famous Wizards of Greyhawk. So I'll probably have to make other videos for that. I'm going to downvote? No doubt. Probably somebody didn't win. Sorry about that, dude. Meteors aren't actually that great. Most meteors are glassy. The rocky ones are rocky. Meteors don't often have a lot of metal in them, generally speaking. And meteoric metal is just raw iron. It's not actually that good. Yeah. I know in fantasy stories, meteoric metal is, star metal is supposed to be magical and cool, but in actual fact, it's not that great. Terry Pratchett, the author of the Discworld series, among others, he actually did have a meteoric sword that he forged himself. Very impressive feat. Learned how to blacksmith and forged a sword from meteoric metal, and I'd love to know where that is, because boy, I'd love to have that sword. Glad you took the alert feed. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations, Jim. Fist and Antlers, yep. Well, Elminster doesn't really have a lot to do with most people's campaigns. He's a background character, but how many people have actually involved Elminster in your campaigns? I mean, be honest. Has he ever shown up in your games? He's shown up in my games once or twice. But he didn't actually help out the characters very much. Dark Sun? Mm-hmm. Oh, really? You're going to send me some drawings, Emiliano? Cool. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Eccentric. And that's one thing I'm very, very aware of, is that I'm not a Hawk Products channel. If I was a crafting channel and I was trying to, and I was telling you what I used, what glue sticks and stuff I use, that would be a different story. But that's not what my channel does. It's an educational channel. Attila the Hun? Really? Had meteor swords? Soka. Who's Soka? You did that on the phone? Wow. Well done, Seraph. You deserve it. What about the heads of the Red Wizards, the ones that have they have for each school of magic? Yeah, that'd be an interesting video. That Thay video was very in depth, but yeah, it just sort of highlights how many different aspects of that society you could really go into in depth. Thay, when you think about it, is more complicated than Waterdeep. It's a really exotic, interesting environment with a lot of history. Oh, okay. In a 20th level plus game, you involve Elminster. Yeah, that's totally appropriate, Michael. Depends on the horse. Oh. Matthews, D&D has a lot of chaotic, evil, full of madness, horrific places and planes, and it's good. But what is the relation between Grey Waste, Negative Energy Plane, Hell, Abyss, and the Far Realm? So the Far Realm is not a plane of existence. It's if you check out one of the latest adventures for which is the Rakma, I think it is, which is the word. It's the Gith word for a posse that's going after mind flayers, a hunting mission. They highlight the fact that it's really hard to find portals to the Far Realm, and the mind flayers found one in Pandemonium. So the adventure actually travels to Pandemonium to this site where they're trying to charge up this magical artifact to essentially take control of the Githyanki and the Githzerai once more. So that's a really interesting campaign, or an adventure that takes place over 16 hours or 8 hours or something. So it's actually really hard to get portals to the Far Realm because they're not naturally occurring things, and you can't make portals to them without them getting wildly out of control, because they just break all laws. They warp and twist magic itself. They're psychic. They're not sort of magical. So they break the bonds and boundaries. That's one of the reasons why demons travel through the Far Realms from another multiverse, because the only way they could break through the multi-dimensional barrier to get there was using a medium of a transitive plane of madness that broke all rules. So essentially, anything goes in the Far Realm, but there's no way to access it otherwise. And when the Far Realm does show up, it's really bad news. So it's not a plane of existence that fits into the D&D cosmology per se. It's outside of the cosmology. So it's a medium of getting from one multiverse to another if you don't involve like phlogiston and stuff and the Spelljammer sort of cosmology, if you will. You know, it's a dimension of madness, of mind. It's beyond the astral plane sort of thing. The Abyss is corruption caused by elemental infection, so basically ghosts in the machine. Ghosts, evil spirits that have infected elemental matter, in the same way that genies are made up of elemental stuff as well, and the demons are kind of like that as well. So they're alien entities, wholly chaotic and evil, that have corrupted matter itself and spread that corruption to different planes of existence and snip them off and thrust them into this network of a new reality. So the planes of existence of the Abyss is a chaos of dimensions. So when you teleport to the Abyss, you show up on a random layer. You don't always show up where you intend to go, because it's constantly churning and maelstroming around. The numbers that we give to the planes is actually quite unrelated to what the actual structure of the Abyss is. It's much more chaotic than that. It's more like a limbo of demi-planes. There are stable links to different layers of the Abyss that are maintained by powerful entities. But other than that, it's very chaotic, and the Abyss itself is almost like a super demon. So it's kind of alive, and it has resisted the effects, resisted destruction by the hands of a pantheon of gods. It turned around, it kicked the gods' asses, and then turned their thoughts and their spirit into 3 new breeds of demon. So it's pretty powerful. And I don't know if any of the currently existing pantheons and gods and stuff have the capacity to stop the Abyss. So it's a slowly spreading disease that is wiping out reality in the D&D multiverse. As for the other planes of existence, they are mythologies. They're belief systems. They're places where souls go based on their attitudes in life and actions in life and stuff. So yeah. As for limbo and the other transitive planes of existence, so you've got entropy and positive energy. So the positive energy place where thoughts dwell and go is the Feywild, which is the land of fairy tale and a land of more rich life in it. And then that forms it steps up into the upper planes of existence from there. So you get quite a lot of interaction between Fey Lords, Eladrin. This is where the Eladrin come in, and the Celestials. So Eladrin are like borderline Celestials they're in the Feywild as well. So they're the stock that the elves came from. So in a way, they're kind of like spiritual beings. They're kind of like Celestials, but they're not. But they can sometimes walk freely in and out of Celestia. Then the Shadowfell is the entropy. It's the borderlands between darkness and depression and the lower planes of existence. So that goes down there. And then the inner planes is elemental chaos. That's the elemental existence. So it's got this limited amount of matter that is being spawned and created by these places. So it doesn't have entropy. You don't have entropy in the elemental planes per se. Things probably still rot and break down and stuff, but there's no limit to the amount of diamonds and gems and things that you can mine out of the plane of Earth, for instance. There's no limit to the amount of air in the elemental plane of air. So it's possible to, if you create a stable portal to the elemental plane of fire in the heart of the elemental plane of fire, and then you locate that on the planet, you can actually cook that world. But of course there's lots of powers and stuff that will stop that from happening. What else? Limbo is it's basically the swept under the rug section of the multiverse, where things that don't fit into things that were concepts that were created in the upper planes or the lower planes and just got kicked out of the multiverse, sort of thing, get shoved back into limbo. So it's a maelstrom of chaotic craziness with constant swirling of stuff because the elemental planes are constantly kicking stuff into there as well. So limbo is limitless. It goes on forever. And you can get lost in limbo pretty easily. But you can also find all sorts of really interesting things in limbo if you somehow find a way to navigate it. And that's also where the Slard and other beings of chaos are located, and also the Githzerai. The Githzerai are located in limbo. In the astral plane, that is the realm of dreams and imagination. So it's up above the world so high. It's the transitive plane that links the outer planes of existence. So that links faith and the afterlife and the places where beings go. So when you're sitting there dreaming about, where grandma is or where your pet dog ended up, and imagining what the afterlife is like for them, that's essentially how those planes of existence are created. They filter up through the astral plane and they become actualized beliefs, real beliefs. And so when people believe in gods, these entities that exist in the astral realm, take those beliefs and turn it into reality. So there you go. That's the relationship between the different planes. And it is well and truly time for me to go, everybody. It's been a long stream. It's been a good stream. Snakes are just a face with a tail. Great. You need a snake monster. Any ideas? How about a snake that can float? So like a dirigible boa constrictor. Beer, the Far Realm, and various subjects. Dice giveaway. Yeah, that was today. PAX, Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder 2. Yep, that was the themes of today's stream. And cheese, of course. And coffee. You're at the supermarket cheese aisle. How appropriate. You'd like to see a video on that Astral Dreadnought? Wouldn't you just? So it's coming up to time where I actually do the reveal of the exclusive video that I produced for the Patreon's supporters. So I'll have to produce some extra. I'm going to be producing some videos, which is me reading articles and stuff from Dragon Magazine and Dungeon Magazine. So I'm going to be talking about adventures and stuff like that, and creating adventures and running adventures with Patreons. So that will be Patreon exclusive content. And I'm going to release that stuff to the general public like months and months later. No, there's not a second giveaway this stream, but I'll be giving away some more dice in later streams. They're still in development. So thanks to D&D WoW for the dice giveaway. The snake with a spider for a head. Ugh. Thanks, Matthews. You've been very generous. Druid antagonists as mad eco-terrorists. Believable? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the best uses for an evil druid. Eco-terrorist. Give us your opinion on the new Unearthed Arcana subclasses. No. No. I'll give my opinion on them when they become official subclasses. In video form. Yeah, maybe. You should go check out Taryn Pounds, who does videos on the D&D subclasses. He actually gets very in-depth with those. And his channel's good. It's still growing. Yeah, it was a good stream. Thanks to all the Daniels. I'll catch you guys next weekend. And as always, there will be a couple of videos, at least a couple of videos this week for you to watch. Click, subscribe, etc. Yeah, dragon's snake spider is pretty awful. Spider centipede. What's the difference? I don't know. Taryn Pound, yeah. Ooh, I see you guys have emailed me already. Thank you very much. I'll get onto that. I'll get those emails sent out to you. All right. That's me signing off. Catch you later, everyone. Have a great evening. And support your local game stores. And D&D.